Hello, and welcome back to the Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a brand new interview with one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. And if you're enjoying the Director's Cut, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. We love hearing your feedback. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Elliott Lester's new film, Aftermath. Inspired by actual events, this tale of guilt and revenge centers on a devastating plane crash that causes two men's lives to be inseparably bound together. Jake, an air traffic controller, commits a tragic error, killing the wife and daughter of a construction foreman named Roman. Trying to make sense of his loss but unable to let it go, Roman blames Jake for the tragedy and demands answers in person. In addition to Aftermath, Mr. Lester's credits include the feature films Sleepwalker, Blitz, and Love is the Drug, the Emmy Award-nominated movie for television Nightingale, episodes of the television series Will, Containment, and Chop Shop, and the video short Hilary Duff, Why Not? After a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Lester spoke with fellow director Gregory Plotkin about filming Aftermath. During their conversation, Mr. Lester discusses his process of preparing for a project, which includes creating a visual Bible, how his background as an AD helped him get through the challenging filming schedule, and his collaboration with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who stars in the film.
All right, we're going to ask some questions here. So, it was tight schedule for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still 3 weeks behind. Yeah, it was 21 days in Columbus, Ohio.
And how far in advance were you on the ground and prepping?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I got a phone call saying from Darren Aronofsky saying, "Hey, do you want to come and do this movie?" I was in Atlanta shooting something else, and I said, "Sure." He goes, "You start in 6 weeks, and you need to meet Arnold next week." So I said, "Oh, I think I can do that." Sometimes you have to rise to the occasion, and I felt that I could on that one.
So did you have a team sort of all set up already, or did you just...
Oh, God, no.
No,
I mean, there's people I like, who I like to work with, and
you're just scrambling from the get-go.
I mean, I don't want to characterize it in a bad light. I had a great time.
Yeah. You pulled it together. I mean, regardless of how much time you had, you pulled it together.
We got it in the can. Yeah, I mean, look, I met a lot of new people. I met a lot of people from Ohio, and I hadn't really ever filmed there before. It was quite an adventure.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the town we were filming in, Columbus, Arnold actually owned half of it.
I hope you got a good deal.
You go driving with him, and it's like, "Yes, I own that." No, I've got that. No, don't know that. I'll get that next year. So it's like Monopoly.
He does an amazing Arnold, by the way. You can do the whole interview as Arnold if you'd like. So then, from a story standpoint, I was so engrossed by obviously the whole film, but obviously the scene where the planes crash when we're in the tower. And it felt like that was sort of a pivotal scene for me when I watched it. How much, first of all, you don't have a lot of time with the script, but what other scenes were sort of key to your vision of the film, and what changed in the writing process? What were you able to sort of implement?
What was key was, I think, the end scene, the murder, because that was true, that actually happened, and it wasn't too dissimilar from how it actually happened. The air, obviously, the crash, and that changed from the reality of it is that they were actually in a different place, deep under the ground. It wasn't actually in a tower, because a radio tower, this is so boring, guys, but anyway, a radio tower, you only take them in from 2,000 feet.
Oh.
And normal radar stations, you take them in from 30,000 feet. So we had to change it because I was looking around and I was like, if we do this inside a radar station, this is going to be so. I mean, listen, it's a tragedy, but I mean, there'll be no suspense. So we Arnold doesn't own the Columbus airport, but he knows someone who does. So we were able to shoot there.
So again, given the short lead time, did you rehearse much?
I'll
take it.
Yeah, I practiced my Lamars. I definitely knew I had to give birth to the film. I mean, Arnold is a very good study, and he and I got together. We would pore over the script. He works with this wonderful acting coach called Walter Van Hoorn, and he was immensely dedicated and prepared. I mean, he'd read the script probably 200 times. The moment he landed in Columbus, he was like, look, I've got to see the locations. I need to know where I'm going. Take me there. And we would walk. He goes, okay. And he had a point of view. He's not a joke as an actor at all. He's very committed.
Well, that leads me to my next question is obviously huge actor.
Physically? 5'10".
5'10". We get to see him very well in the movie, obviously, the whole body. Obviously, big presence, huge, sort of the resume, from acting to politics and whatnot. But he's turned now. He went from the action guy to, you got this great emotional performance out of him.
Maybe he wants to be a girly boy, as he would say.
What was the key, though, for you to get that? What was part of your discussions as you sort of went into the
look,
process?
when you walk into the room with any actor, there's always this moment. And when you walk into a room with a legend, that moment's a little bit longer, and you're like, okay. So I sat down with him, and we talked about process. I was very open with him. I said, look, you've been the Terminator 3 times. You've been, Conan. You've done all these huge films. I said, and if you walk onto set being that guy, this is lost. And he goes, I would never do that. Never. I said, well, I make art house cinema. And he's like, I know I saw the films and I like them and they're really pretty. I said, I need you to be the actor and let me be the director. And if we can do that, then something quite magical will come from it. And he agreed. He said, okay, you're right. And I'm going to do that. And I'll put myself in your hands. And he did it in a way a lot of actors wouldn't. And I've worked with some tremendous actors like Mark Rylance and Paddy Considine and David Oyelowo. And he was as selfless as any of those guys were.
And was he a great collaborator on set? Were you able
He's
to?
Incredible. If anyone, I don't know anyone knows much about him as a human being, he's incredibly generous. He would do the offlines for all the actors. He wouldn't disappear into his trailer. He wasn't late. He knew what we were making. We were making a smaller, intimate movie, and he treated the film with respect.
And obviously, it's a somber subject matter.
I don't think so. I think
you're
you're being cynical.
It's a light teen comedy.
It's my La La Land.
Shot in sunny
by the same
Hawaii.
studio, by the way. The same studio.
That's right. No, I see the similarities. Yeah. The dancing scenes in this one were fantastic.
Thank you. I'm glad you acknowledged it.
Dancing in the snow is awesome. What? How do you keep the morale up when every day you
in
are
Columbus?
In Columbus, in the snow, in a very
happy hour.
Happy hour. Perfect.
Actually, that's a good point. How do you do it? It starts with the top. It starts with your actor, and he sets the tone. And he was wonderful. He would come to set. He would bring everyone gifts and cigars, and in the darkest times and things. There was a time where I was in a location and a 100-foot tree just fell down because we were caught in a gale and a windstorm. And he would be out there with us laughing and telling stories. Oh, that's nothing. No. I remember we shut down for 2 whole years. He would just tell stories. But how do I keep the crew happy? I mean, I'm like this.
That's good. You got a good attitude.
And then I go back to my hotel and cry. wondering why my life is like it is.
The rest of the cast.
Who are they?
I know who are they, right?
Yeah.
But Scoot, who plays
Fantastic.
Jake,
Love
was such a perfect choice in that you look at him and initially you have sympathy for him, but he's also got those other layers, those other levels where you're just not quite sure about him. And there's that great conversation you have with yourself as a viewer as to whose side you're on, who you feel for, and sort of what was your process with him?
With Scoot, I'd been wanting to work with Scoot for a couple of years. I'd seen him in Argo and some other things, and we became quite pally. He is very specific in the way he approaches the script. I mean, he learns everybody's part. And he comes to you with questions constantly, which is what good actors do. They'll come, with this, and I'm not sure. They only have one scene together, which is crazy. And I think for a moment, Scoot was a little bit like, wow, hang on, this is Arnold. And then, Arnold puts everyone at his ease, but I think that there was a generosity between the two of them. And he was a very, not just Scoot, but Maggie Grace as well, I thought she did really great work in there.
She was great. Their relationship was so believable. But when he breaks down, when he finds out that the planes crashed, and asks how many people died. I mean, you're so feel for him, but obviously his evolution throughout the film, was that something you sort of found in the cut? Was it something you covered?
No, look, it's that thing about, 75% of making a good film is casting right, and I feel that he was the right tone, he was the right brush, and he gave, he gave it in every scene. Look, when you're shooting a movie that quickly, you don't have a ton of time to sit around talking and 10, 20 takes, Yeah. So he knew every time he walked onto set, he had to bring it. And he thrived off that pressure, I think.
So just from, obviously, again, this 21-day schedule, are you shooting multiple cameras?
Why don't we just cut that in half?
Right, let's cut it in half. Are you shooting multiple cameras and just running, gunning?
Sometimes we had some 2-camera days. Sometimes we had. But, we didn't have a fortune to make the film with.
Right.
There was a couple of 2-camera days. Definitely when we shot the airport scene where, the collision happens. We had because we shot that, I think, in 6 hours. In the tower. I'm so ashamed to say that, but that's what we had to do.
You didn't need more. It was great. It works so great. I mean,
there's need more
between that sequence and then the sequence when Arnold shows up, when he shows up at the apartment, and you're cross cutting between upstairs and getting in the elevator and all that. Just the tension was so perfect, and you're squirming. You don't want to be part of it. How much of that was sort of planned ahead of time? Did you board? I mean, I imagine you board it all.
I think the storyboard budget ended up being craft service or something. I didn't have any. Yeah. I prepare what's called a Bible, which is I break down the entire movie by shot list before I've even seen a location, which is such a stupid idea, but I do it because it creates this illusion, that I want the film to feel this way, and then I add to it. And what happens is I build the Bible, and then I ultimately throw the Bible out because you react to the locations that you find. I don't have the time to sit there and do doodles.
Makes perfect sense. So in post-production, what was your was it shorter than your what was your
you get the DGA is very good about you get your 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Did you speak to the editor a lot during shooting?
Yeah,
I did. Give notes and whatnot?
I would talk to him, but we were so busy. Some days I think we did some 11-day fortnights as well. We did some 6-day weeks. So I would just call him and say, and a good editor's gonna say you need a little bit of coverage here, a little bit of coverage there. They're not gonna. They don't want to spook you too much. Right. What am I missing? What haven't I got? The footage looks great. Don't worry, the footage looks great.
That's not the way I do it, bro.
Yeah, I don't work with that guy anymore. But
no, I tell it like it is.
Tell me the footage is shit.
That's right.
Someone I can work with.
That's right. So was he on location with you, or was he in here in LA?
No, he was in Los Angeles, but we had 2 editors.
Okay.
We had two editors.
And then, is it a typical process, previewing and sort of getting ideas? Did the film how much did the film change editorially from what you had in the script?
Absolutely, completely, 100% different.
Why don't you talk about that?
Well, I mean, you get the script, and the script was this. It was designed as two separate chapters with a very, very thin third act. And in the original story, Arnold shows up, and then you lose him all the way through until the very, very end. So when we came into, there's that phrase about you never love anything as much as your dailies, and you'll never hate anything as much as your first cut. I found a new level that the first cut, I was crying. I was like, I've failed. I was looking to how to become an Uber driver. Yeah, the script had challenges. It had real challenges, but we had no prep. But the skill of the editor is to actually, hey, you know what? You've got plenty of footage here. Let's reconceive the story, and we were able to do that. But what I read and what we ended up with are very different.
So they always say you write the film 3 times. Obviously, script, shooting, editorially. It sounds like you did a lot of.
Well, do you remember Speak and Spell? Yeah. I felt like we wrote it on Speak and Spell. You
had, I think, 40 or 50 producers on the film. How involved were they?
I had, with a cast of 300. Yeah,
there's a lot of producers.
There was a lot. Yeah.
How
effective were they?
How much were they involved? How effective? How did that process work? Did you?
Well, how do you think it worked?
I was trying to be nice.
Do you want to list them all? Actually, we don't have an hour, do we? I mean, I had my main producer was this wonderful man called Darren Aronofsky, who was really, really. I mean, he was tremendously helpful. He was wonderful. He actually flew in the night of the murder scene with David Blaine, the magician. Wow. So while we're shooting this murder scene, David Blaine's doing magic tricks, and Darren and Arnold are doing Snapchat posts while I'm doing some very, very serious scenes. So that was useful. That was great. Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's how you.
But in being sincere, Darren was brilliant with post production. He was wonderful. He was really, really great.
He's obviously a very smart filmmaker.
Unbelievable talent. Yeah.
Did you lean on him during the shoot much at all, or is it just?
I didn't have time. I didn't have time. When you're constantly putting out fires, like the first day we were down for half a day. We would lose because I had 52 locations, and you were just constantly catching up. It's like doing cinematic triage.
Would you do this process again? Would you?
Why?
What did you? Why?
Would I make another movie? Yeah,
would you make
course.
another movie on this kind of budget and this kind of?
It just depends.
Was it ultimately at the end of the day? Was it a fun challenge, a rewarding challenge?
Wow. It was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge. Look, you don't seek to go out and have a challenge like that. You seek to go out and make the best work you can. But ultimately, you're given the amount of money and time you need to make the movie. And that, I've just finished this massive TV show where we had like $80 million and all the time in the world. But you still don't have all the time in the world. You still need more time. You still need more resources. It just isn't. It's, look, I made this film that way and it works. And it works. The next one, I don't know if I would do it this way.
But also, it's a character piece. It's a dramatic. You got these great dramatic performances. As difficult as it is, you pulled it off. You did great.
Thanks, Dad.
Do you look back and just sort of?
I never look back.
Can you see the good in it all? Can you?
Yes, of course. I had a great. Listen. I'm laughing. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
That's
what it's all about.
I have a T-shirt and. I had a really. There's no aftermath to aftermath. There's a good time.
Good.
We had a good time.
So what other sort of obviously you had some you shut down the first day, is that right?
Yeah, shut down on the first day, which is actually the best way to start the tone of a movie.
That's right. You don't want to shut down in the middle.
No,
you don't want to shut down in the middle. You got that out of the way. What other obstacles were there in Columbus?
Well, Columbus is a burgeoning town. It's new. We didn't have a lot of super experienced crew, so a lot of people were learning on the job, and that could be, we had these very expensive anamorphic lenses, and there were, someone would crack a lens, And, hadn't seen that before. But those, we turned it into like, oh, we haven't got the 100 mil. We can shoot it on the 40 because that's not got a crack in it. There were things like that.
Wow. Wow. So you had 52
locations,
52, So you're shooting on 21 days.
Yeah, a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, are you literally shooting a couple takes, moving on?
I was shooting. It would depend. I would, sometimes I would, you have to fight for what you really need. But ironically, the line producer had said, "Oh, this is nothing." It's just like we shoot movies in 14 days. With De Niro, Pacino, and on a bus or something. I was like,
but at least it's just.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
Wow. And so, talk about your start in terms of how you started as a director and sort of how it all. Obviously, shooting on a schedule. Let's talk about
you're talking about on the movie I started as a director and finished up somewhere in a different position. Well, I don't. No, I'm still a director. Still doing it.
Your skill set you had coming in must have saved you.
I was an AD. I was a first AD.
So there you go.
And I'd worked on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
so obviously that's
your mind does go to that, but you don't want to always be doing damage control. But you kind of go, okay, now I know what I got to do. Get out of my way.
And how easy is it to separate the all that from the creative and whatnot? I mean, you had to wear a lot of hats on this film, right?
Yeah. How hard is it to separate? When you're doing a movie this way, that instinct, it's a reflex, and that reflex just kicks in, and you rely on it. And thank God I'd come up that way.
Yeah.
Because I think I might have been struggling.
I mean, it's a great background. Obviously, you always kind of knew.
I'm not looking to go back to it.
You sure?
We're in the right building, aren't we?
I know, right?
No.
There's some opportunities. But it's great. I mean, I think every person on set should have worn multiple hats at some point. I started out as a PA and went into editorial and directed, and I feel like I have a good sense of what everyone does in some respects. Obviously, you have your own skill set, which you're able to apply, which is so helpful.
The most important thing is to be making stuff. And that was the big lesson that I learned on this one. Is it's very. I think Bresson said this. This will be my one serious moment. The filmmaker said, if you can't do it with the minimum, then you'll never be able to do it with the most. And I think it's the way we make films now, that things have become quite bloated. And really, ultimately, it is just about sound, camera, and actor. I mean, that's really the things that you need to make to tell a story. Yeah. I had a little bit less than those three, but I tried.
You had a few less lenses, obviously.
Definitely.
You had actors, obviously.
Yeah,
so what's next? What's next for you?
Am I allowed to talk about it?
I don't know.
I have a film with a guy called Matt Damon called Thirst.
Great. Which
is about it's with HBO Films. It's about the worldwide water crisis.
5-day shooting schedule?
No, we have to. No, that's going to be fun. And then I have this show called Will coming out that I did for TNT, which was really good. It's about William Shakespeare, and that was pretty good.
Wow!
But maybe someone wants to ask a question.
Any questions from anybody in the audience?
No hecklers. Oh, what? No. We shot on a Alexa ST. I wanted to shoot raw, but we couldn't. We didn't have it in the budget.
And do you watch dailies? How do you watch?
Yeah,
dailies?
I do. I like dailies. I like looking at dailies.
You have to.
And I'd watch them with Arnold sometimes.
Yeah.
And those sweet. It's fun.
How is he objective?
I like me in this. I like me there. Yeah, he's objective. He's
Good.
Great.
Good. And did you? So when you got back into LA, the editor had an assembly, I assume.
Yeah, we had an assembly. We sat in a room. I cried, and And then you cry, and then you're tired, and then you just realize what you've just come out of. You've got frostbite, you've gained 25 pounds, you get your shoot gut, and you're like, all right, I better figure this out.
And were you in the cutting room every day? What's your style there? Do you like to just
I
give notes and walk away?
I don't like to be in there every day, because I think that what happens is you lose objectivity, and you start to become the footage becomes myopic, and you hone in on things. I would go in every few days. I would review cuts every kind of 10 days just to keep it in my mind. And then we would, obviously because we didn't have budget, I was, doing music at the same time.
Yeah, you said you wrote.
I compose music. I compose some of the music, and I have this man in Ireland who's an arranger, and I would talk to him, and he would do the arranging and send it back to me. So it's like there's a lot of hats being worn.
It's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
But as you said, you're creating. You got to always keep creating. You got to always keep the process going.
Yeah, we're lucky what we do.
It's the best job in the world. We get to.
I like this guy. He wants to ask questions. We had a wonderful guy called Craig Hannigan, who I don't know how we got him. I knew how we got him. He did Black Swan with Darren. He does all the Darren's movies, and he agreed to come in and mix it. It was, he was a real treat. He didn't want it competing, but anyway, I'm happy, appreciated that.
It's a very tonal score. I mean, obviously it's not meant to compete. It finds a good balance to it all.
I think there's too much music at times in the film, but we can recut.
And I was asking backstage, there was no thought of changing the ending of shooting just to have one where...
the ending that was written was so dark.
Yeah.
The kid kills him.
Kid kills him.
Yeah, in the original script, that kid who's Lewis Pullman, who's Bill Pullman's son, I thought did a really good job in his one scene, but he kills him, and we were like, you can't do that. I said to Arnold, I said, do you want people to hate you? No. I said, well, if you don't want someone to hate you, we better change this ending. Do it now. Like, okay. Because I think he would have hated him. I think he would have hated everybody.
Did you do Arnold's ADR?
I did actually. It's so funny. Yeah, because when you do go to the ADR, you can't ask Arnold to come in and do like the looping bit. Right. You have to have him at the end,
right?
Because you only have him for yeah. So I would do Arnold impressions, and I'd record bits of Arnold. Yeah,
you mastered it.
I tried. Well, you hang out with him. You can't. Everyone has their own. But this thing, everyone has their own Arnold impression, and mine's the British version.
I think we are at.
Are we out?
At our limit.
Here we are.
Here. This has been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Bye, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. You can check out past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts or on our website at dga.org/podcast. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and have a great week. This podcast was produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.